Hello, hello, hello. All right. What's going on, everybody? My name is Will Johnson. For those of you that don't know, my website is uniteamericafirst.com. All right. Let me catch my breath. Sorry I'm a little late. I was running up here, running to the studio. And, of course, I have some stuff I want to share with you, as usual. Ooh-wee. Look, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the Biden docs, the classified Biden docs. You remember? It really hasn't gone away. And maybe, just maybe, the balloon, they allowed the balloon to go from the West Coast to the East Coast. So people will talk about the balloon and not talk about the highly classified documents that Joe Biden has, right? Or that he had. The National Archives didn't do their job when it came to the classified documents that Joe Biden had, but they seemed like they wanted to do their jobs when it came to President Trump. But even then, they weren't doing their jobs because they knew exactly what President Trump had. Well, anyways, we had this balloon fly across the country, surveilling the country, taking pictures, gathering data, sending it back to China. And the Biden regime acts like, oh, this is nothing out of the ordinary. Well, we're not going to shoot it down because we want it to be safe. But they knew where the balloon was before it came into the country. Went to Alaska, the United States of America, went to Canada. They came back into the United States of America, and then across the country. And then they put out this whole story that our military, and this is what the left was always saying, that the military put out a signal to block it, but yet the Chinese government was still able to direct the daggum thing, which was kind of bizarre to me. They're telling us that they blocked communications to it, but the Chinese government was still able to direct it to go over the missile silos and over military bases on the way to the East Coast. So who's lying, right? But anyways, now today, they shot down an object. They're not saying it's a balloon, but it's really interesting. This object that they shot down over Alaska, they won't say it was a balloon. They're just saying it's an object. They're not saying what it is, but they are saying that it was smaller than, it was about the size. He says roughly the size of a small car. Okay, what kind of car are we talking about? I want to know what was he calling a roughly small car? One of those little small Fiat cars? What's he talking about? And it won't even tell us where it came from. If it was from
China,
maybe it was from
Russia.
Right? Tell us. But they said they don't know if it was a balloon or not. They don't know if it was a balloon or not, but they know how small it was. They know the size. And they know that it was not manned. They said there was nobody in the vehicle, right? So if nobody was in it, they know the size, but they don't know if it was a balloon or not. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. I don't understand. I'm asking the questions. It doesn't, they come out with these stories, and it's like they don't get their whole story together before they start relaying information. Let me just start sharing some of this with you. Okay, let me start sharing this with you. And if you haven't already, please hit the share button for me. Please hit the share button for me. Help me get past the algorithms. Help me get past it. All right, listen to this first one that I have for you, because a reporter brings it up. He doesn't even bring it up. It was like it was all staged. Okay, I'm going to go out here and then you bring up the question about this other object that we shot down. This way we can tell the American people that we're actually doing everything we can to protect you. I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. But listen.
But really briefly, can you speak to rumors that there is another Chinese balloon above Alaska or any other parts of U.S. territory that the U.S. shot down?
So I can confirm that the Department of Defense was tracking a high altitude object over Alaska airspace in the last 24 hours. The object was flying at an altitude of 40,000 feet and posed a reasonable threat to the safety of civilian flight. Out of an abundance of caution and at the recommendation of the Pentagon, President Biden ordered the military to down the object. And they did. And it came inside our territorial waters. Those waters right now are frozen, but inside territorial airspace and over territorial waters. Fighter aircraft assigned to U.S. Northern Command took down the object within the last hour.
They took down the object within the last hour. Now, again, they said this object was not manned, but they don't know if it was a balloon or not. What was it? How do you know it wasn't manned then, if you don't know what it was? See, again, they put all these stories out here and they don't even give out all the details, right? Maybe they think, what, American people can't handle the details. So why even do this? Why even do this show? They're doing this to get people to believe that the Biden regime is actually looking out for the American people, when we all already know that's not the case. They're not doing it. They're not doing it at all.
Another aircraft of some sort, airship, balloon, something was shot down today. Who owns it? What were the circumstances? Was the president directly involved in ordering this? And is wreckage being recovered?
Well, okay. So I'm going to try. Remind me if I forget something.
Okay.
Yes, the president absolutely was involved in this decision. He ordered it at the recommendation of Pentagon leaders. He wanted it taken down, and they did that. They did it using fighter aircraft assigned to U.S. Northern Command. The Pentagon will have more to say about the details of this later on this afternoon. It's only just within the last hour.
And you know what? So the Pentagon actually came out, and guess what the Pentagon said? Nothing. A bunch of nothing. We don't know what the object is. We know that the object wasn't manned, but we don't know what it is. We know it wasn't a balloon, but we don't know what it is. Or at least we don't think it was a balloon. We're not saying it's a balloon. The object wasn't flying at 60,000 feet. It was flying at 40,000 feet. So do airplanes, travel at 30,000 feet or 40,000 feet? And is this thing even real? Is it even real? Who gets to say otherwise? We just have to take their word for it. I question it.
We're calling this an object because that's the best description we have right now. We do not know who owns it, whether it's state owned or corporate owned or privately owned. We just don't know. We don't know. As I said, state owned. We don't know if it's state owned. And we don't understand the full purpose. We don't have any information that would confirm a stated purpose for this object. We do expect to be able to recover the debris since it fell not only within our territorial space, but on what we believe is frozen water. So a recovery effort will be made, and we're hopeful that it'll be successful, and then we can learn a little bit more about it.
Was its appearance like the Chinese aircraft?
No, it was much smaller than the spy balloon that we took down last Saturday. The way it was described to me was roughly the size of a small car, as opposed to a payload that was like 2 or 3 buses size, right? So much smaller, and not of the same, no significant payload, if you will.
So that makes it okay. That makes it better, right? I don't think so. Right? I mean, really, how many of y'all have questions about this that you're not getting answers to? I know I do.
And lastly, is it now the policy of the United States that if unidentified aircraft are over U.S. territory, that it is likely the president will choose to shoot it down?
The president will always act in the best interest of our national security. And
that's a bald-faced lie. Did you hear what he just said?
It's likely the president will choose to shoot it down.
The president will always act in the best interest of our national security and in the safety and security of the American people.
That is a bald-faced lie. Straight up lie. Because if that was the case, the first balloon would have never traveled across the country. Never. They knew it. They knew that it was coming into the country before it even got here, but they didn't do anything to stop it. Nothing. Not at all.
Is it a fair takeaway then that the Pentagon regrets not taking down the first balloon?
Yeah. Is there any regrets that they didn't take down the first balloon when it was over Alaska? Before it went into Alaska, or when it was over Alaska? Why they shoot this one down over Alaska, but they didn't shoot down the balloon when it was over Alaska? Maybe it's just possibly that Beijing Biden got his order from China, and they told him, hey, do not shoot it down or let it go across the country. You owe me this, Biden. You owe me this. Remember Hunter. You owe me. You allow me to fly my balloon across the country. Because they could have taken it down multiple times, but they didn't.
Before it crossed the entire U.S.?
Well, I'm not going to speak for the Pentagon. I can tell you that the president doesn't regret the way that we handled the first balloon.
Of course he doesn't regret it, right? Because, again, the first balloon gathered all of the data, and they waited until it got across the country before they did anything about it. Can y'all imagine? Because, they were saying this was happening under President Trump. They said the balloons, but President Trump, they never informed President Trump that there were any balloons. And then on top of that, they're all making up this excuse saying, well, you know what? We know that the balloons were there. We just can't confirm it. We never actually saw the balloons when Trump was in office. We never actually got any information. We didn't even know if they actually did find any balloons, but we can say that there were balloons there when President Trump was in office. So just take our word for it that there were some balloons. Wow. I mean, they're just blatantly lying. It's almost like watching The Simpsons. Y'all ever watch The Simpsons? They tell you, it's like they show you all the crazy stuff and they say, well, just don't believe that. Just don't believe it. Don't believe it. No, there was balloons. There was balloons. We never saw the balloons. We never detected the balloons, but we can tell you that there were some balloons. We just know that there were some. This is wild. Completely wild. I look at this stuff and I said, these people really truly believe that the American people are that dumb. They think you're dumb. They think that you don't get it. They think that you can't figure it out. They think that, hey, we told you this information. Just believe it. Don't even question it. Because if you start questioning it, then they consider you as a conspiracist. Wow, really? So you question all this stuff, and then it comes out to be true, and then they don't even want to talk about it when it becomes true. But first, they want to cover it all up. They want to hide it. They want to suppress it. Remember?
Russia.
The Hunter Biden laptop. Oh, it's Russian propaganda. It's all a conspiracy. When it all come out to be true, then they kind of like don't want to talk about it, and they say, well, that's just old news. We don't need to talk about it. But the Biden crime family is compromised. Joe Biden is compromised. We all see that he's compromised. There's no hiding the fact that he's compromised. Okay, I want to share some more stuff with you about this whole issue with the balloon and the surveillance and all that, but that's going to come back a little bit later. And there's a reason why. But before we get to that, I want to share this with you. This young man goes on with Tucker Carlson, and he's talking about affirmative action. Do y'all know what affirmative action is? Right? Affirmative action, to my understanding, is not just for black people, but it's supposedly for women too. So women can get jobs that men were holding, white men, right? So they create affirmative action, or black people could get jobs because of affirmative action. The way I've always seen affirmative action, I've always seen that, hey, you're black or you're a woman, so that's considered a handicap, so we have to give you a handout so you can get the job, instead of just giving the person the job based on their qualifications. That's the way it should be. That's all it should be. I've always said, well, I don't have a handicap. My color is not a handicap. I never saw my color as a handicap. But some on the left, they see it that way. Oh, you're black. You can't think for yourself. You don't know what a DMV is. You can't get a driver license. You don't know how to do for yourself. So we're here to help you. But listen to this young man as they're talking about affirmative action. And he lays out a very, very valid point when it comes to the NBA and affirmative action.
Why is this, and I notice that no one on the right wants to touch this because they're afraid or whatever. I don't know why it's so hard to defend a colorblind meritocracy, since that's America. But why do you think this is an important fight?
Look, it's important for so many reasons, but the first of them, even from my own experiences at some of those elite institutions, Tucker, is that affirmative action simply does not work to even help the very people it's supposed to help. Because if it did help those people, then you wouldn't need to apply it to the same groups to get into boarding school, who then need to be the exact same groups who benefit from it in getting into college, who then need to benefit from the exact same thing getting into graduate school, who are then the exact same groups who benefit from it in the professional workforce. If it was working, you wouldn't need it at every step of the cascade. And here's the thing, Tucker. Nobody makes a case for affirmative action in the NBA. Nobody makes a case for affirmative action in the NFL because they know that would ruin basketball and it would ruin football. None of us would want to watch it. Why do we think it's any different when it comes to science or engineering? And I will tell you from my experience in the classroom or otherwise, I think that that's exactly what's happening in our culture is we have an assault on meritocracy and an assault on excellence. And I think that's an assault on the American soul. We need to put the merit back in America. It's probably why most legal immigrants actually legally come to this country. It's why my parents came here. And we're at risk of losing it unless we end affirmative action, which I think the Supreme Court has an opportunity to do right now.
Well, that's exactly right. People from around the world understood, despite what the Academy tells us, that it was a pretty fair system, fairest in the world anyway, and they came here as a result. I just don't understand, if the NBA is too important to destroy with affirmative action, then why is it okay at flight schools or medical schools?
You know what? Before it goes on, I can see MSSTD saying that, oh my goodness, Tucker wants to get rid of affirmative action because he's white supremacist. I'm telling you, I can see Unjoyful Reed right now on MSSTD saying that Tucker, she calls him Tuckums, right? I can see her right now saying that he's talking about this because he's racist. Well, I'm a black man. Apparently the guy sitting next to Tucker is a person of color.
People of color.
And he's sitting there saying that, talking how bad affirmative action is. But see, everything that portrays to racism, that actually brings a certain group of people down, they're all about it, right? That's why over on MSSTD with Unjoyful Reed, she's completely, I'm telling you, without me even going over there looking at her. Tuckums. He's racist, white supremacist, want to get rid of affirmative action. And then she's going to go a whole long list. I can order, I'm telling you, then she will go through a whole long list of talking about why affirmative action is good for black people and women. And Tucker wanted to take that away. No. Those on the left, they keep talking about they want everything to be equal. Equality. Well, then get rid of affirmative action. Get rid of Black History Month. Let everything be equal. I think in the year 2023, we're pretty much equal in this planet, right? Wouldn't you think? I do.
It makes zero sense, Tucker. Now, let's take the best counter-argument from the other side, especially in the Harvard context, right? Because that's the case before the Supreme Court. What opponents will say is that they allow legacy admissions, so how come you're just against affirmative action on the basis of race? You know what my response to that is? Great, let's get rid of both of them. Let's go back to merit. And if you want to get rid of legacy admissions, I'll take that trade. My kid doesn't need a leg up to get into Harvard just because I went there. Leave it to the best playing field. May the best succeed. May the most academically successful succeed. May the most athletic succeed. That's America. That's what we need to revive. And conservatives actually need to be more bold about making that claim. That's what I would say.
Exactly. That's... You know what? To be honest with you, I didn't even see that little last part. I just saw the part and I was like, okay, I'm on board with it. But that's exactly it. That's exactly what I was saying. It should be based on your merit, based on what you can do, based on how you can perform. It shouldn't be based on your color. Your color shouldn't have any relevance in what you do, on how you live. Now, sadly, in America today, you have the left, they're all about color. They are color struck. Everything for them is about color and your sexuality because they want to change everything about it. That's who the left, that's who they are. All right. I have a whole montage of things I want to share with you this evening. And you know what? I'm going to take some of your phone calls. Tonight. All right. But let me play this one for you. This is with Joe Brandon. And he sits down and, I guess he's looking at his card, his notes, telling him what to say, when to say it, when to get up, when to go change his diaper, et cetera, et cetera. This is so disturbing. Can y'all imagine if President Trump ever said anything remotely close to this? Y'all remember there was an episode when President Trump had his glass. Let me do this real quick. Remember, President Trump picked up a glass and he was holding it with two hands. And he did that and then he set it down. And they would go, oh my goodness, why is he holding the cup with two hands? It was like the highlight of the time. Do y'all remember that? I remember it because they were like, they're making it, oh my goodness, he's holding it with two hands. But then you have this and they don't say anything. They don't say nothing. They're like, oh, that's just Joe? I don't think so.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to be quiet, right? I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Eventually, I'm going to say something to you.
What? What in the world is going on? And then you hear the lady saying, thank you, thank you. Like, stop talking, stop talking. Like, it's on your card to stop talking.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to be quiet, right?
I'm going to be quiet. He's asking the question. I'm supposed to be quiet, right? Because this is what it says here. I'm supposed to be quiet, right? And then listen to the lady when she's trying to jump in there because obviously this is like a really awkward moment. I mean, for her, apparently. And it's just, this dude has completely lost his mind.
I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Eventually, I'm going to say something to you.
Eventually, I'm going to say something to you. This is highly disturbing. Like I just mentioned, remember President Trump, he held the cup with two hands. That was like, oh my goodness, what's going on? He's holding with two hands. But they say nothing about this. What a bunch of hypocrites through and through. Through and through. Talk about another hypocrite. Now, when you have a politician that is completely lying, like Joe Biden, Joffrey's here, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Jerry Nadler, Mitch McConnell, right? Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, when you have these people that are blatantly lying, AOC and a whole lot of them, blatantly lying, they should be able to be called out. Joffrey's is on here, and he's upset because the Republicans were making it known that Joe Biden was lying when he was lying during his State of Confusion speech. Listen to what Joffrey says, because see, he's all about division. He's all about demonizing half the country. He is worse. He is worse than Nancy Pelosi. And I said this dude was going to be bad. I called it out. This dude is going to be worse than Nancy Pelosi. I said it before. As soon as they announced him being there, he's going to be a lot worse. Listen to how evil and demonic this dude is.
The behavior of the extreme MAGA Republicans speaks for itself. And I'm confident that the overwhelming majority of the American people found that aggressive, childish, petulant behavior by the extreme MAGA Republicans who were yelling and screaming on the floor of the House during President Biden's State of the Union address to be distasteful. Okay, so you know what he's really saying, right? Allow Joe Biden to lie. Allow Joe Biden to lie. Do not say anything about him lying. Allow him to lie so the American people will believe the lies that he's saying. The Republicans said no to that. And that's the way it should be. And you know what? He is the classic example of every single progressive Democrat out there. They believe that they should be able to have the say-so in everything, even with the tech companies. They should be able to have the say-so in everything. You be silent. You say nothing. They get the lie, and you're supposed to believe it. It's the same thing here. This is what it is. Don't say anything. Don't say anything because we, the pristine, we're speaking. We're better than you. So you be quiet. You don't argue. You don't question what we say. You just take what we say and just run with it as if it's true. Well, thank God we still have brain cells. Thank God that we still have a sound mind, that we just don't automatically believe the nonsense and the lies that they're putting out there. Now, if you haven't hit that share button by now, if you haven't hit the thumbs up on Rumble by now, do so. If you haven't hit the heart button on Facebook, please hit the heart button. Hit the thumbs up on YouTube right now.
This next one I want to share with you is just bizarre, really out of this world. Do you know who Matt Walsh is? Do you know who he is? Matt Walsh was the one that went around and he was asking these progressives, leftists, communist liberals about what is a woman. And they were all arguing with him for the most part. They were arguing with him saying, you know, they don't know what a woman is. That's how all that came about, really. You know, we already knew about it before then because of Ketanji Brown Jackson. Remember? They asked her what a woman is and she couldn't define what a woman is. So he went out and he did a documentary asking them about what is a woman. Well, anyways, he's in this hearing where they're talking about mutilating children. And the guy here is trying to discredit Matt Walsh because Matt Walsh, he says he didn't finish college, right? He says he didn't. And then this guy was trying to say, go against Matt Walsh based on his education. I love his response. His response to this dude is amazing. And they think that you have to go to an Ivy League school like Harvard or something like that in order for you to have a say-so in society, even though you have a functioning brain. Listen to this, because this is an awesome interaction.
My experience in healthcare.
Your educational background. I'm just curious. You testified as to a lot of your own research. So I'm curious for what purpose you do that and what background you have to qualify you to speak to that.
Well, my background that qualifies me to speak to this is that I'm a human being with a brain and common sense, and I have a soul. And so, therefore, I think it's a really bad idea to chemically castrate children. That is my experience.
Very good. Very good. A human being with a brain, and he has a soul. That should be the only qualifications you need. But see, they try to discredit people because they don't have Harvard or went to Yale, right? They try to discredit people based on their education. And think about this. We're supposedly have some of the brightest, most intelligent politicians in the world, and they're screwing it up. So exactly where does the education buy the American people? What is it getting us? Nothing but misery and chaos. Now, listen, it goes on.
Also, I did. Now, it's true. I didn't go to college, but I did go to school long enough to learn how to read so I can read the data for myself. And that's exactly what I've done.
Representative Clements, and for what purpose do you conduct your research and use this brain of yours?
Mr. Walsh, you're recognized. I use it for the purpose of trying to protect children from being castrated and mutilated. That's one of the things I try to do.
You don't use it to... Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Now listen to what he's trying to excuse Matt Walsh for bringing up about children being mutilated. As a society, we're supposed to protect children. As a society.
Use it to get clicks on your publication?
Well, are you using it right now to try to get clicks with this interaction? No, I really like the
Mr.
idea
Walsh.
of getting of drawing attention to the fact that this is happening to children. I know you seem to find it very amusing. I don't.
Right. The guy find it very amusing to target these children. These people, and you know what? What he did here, he actually exposed these Democrats, how they're wanting to target children and how they want children to be castrated. They want to be physically mutilated. This is so disgusting. It really is. It really is. Now, again, he goes on after this, he goes on Tucker, and it was actually another interaction where the guy, another Democrat, was trying to get at Matt Walsh, and Matt Walsh leaves the guy speechless. Can't say anything. And this is about them targeting our children. Watch this.
In another hearing, Walsh left another Tennessee lawmaker, this one called Caleb Hammer, completely speechless.
Just curious of your definition of if you feel like people are adults at 16 should...
No, people are adults at 18, but actually your brain is not fully developed until you're 25. So we should be having a conversation about whether we should even be doing these surgeries to people at 18. But certainly before 18, it's absurd. I mean, do you think that a 16-year-old can meaningfully consent to having their body parts removed? Do you? No?
Look, before we go back to Tucker, look at this. He was completely silent. completely silent. And see, he didn't want to say it out loud because saying it out loud really like, oh yeah, that doesn't really sound good. But see, they fix it in their minds to do this perverted stuff, to be this demonic, and to say it's okay. Listen.
Oh, Caleb Hammer, another ghoul defending the indefensible, had no answer. God bless Matt Walsh for doing that. He's the host of the Matt Walsh Show, joins us now. Matt, thank you. It's so satisfying to watch. Boy, you expose these people as truly filthy people.
Yeah, I think, well, they expose themselves to it, I think most of all. And the interesting thing, too, is that I'm sitting there in the hearing. I was giving my view on this bill. I'm in favor of the bill to ban the mutilation of children. I'm giving my view as a taxpayer and a private citizen, not an author of the bill. So their really failed and embarrassing attempts to discredit me were not only humiliating for them, but also totally irrelevant, because even if you can prove that I'm a terrible guy, does that automatically make it okay to mutilate children then? Because that's what we're supposed to be talking about. But they don't want to talk about that because they know they can't defend their position. This is the position that Democrats and the left are constantly in on many issues, in particular on this one, where their position is something that is so unspeakably evil that they can't speak it. So you can defeat them in an argument simply by trying to get them to state their premise. They can't even state their premise. I mean, the Caleb Hammer does believe that 16-year-olds can consent to having body parts removed, but he can't say that out loud because he knows how crazy it sounds, and so instead he just falls silent.
You look at someone like John Ray Clements, looks like sort of a normal person. Maybe he has kids. He's in favor of cutting the breasts off girls. I mean, how could anybody get to a place where that's okay?
This is our society.
I think, I can't see inside their minds, but I have to imagine that most of these people know at some level that it's wrong, but they're just ideologically beholden to it. That, again, is why they don't even attempt to defend it. And instead we get this credentialism thing going on, as if I need credentials to know that abusing children is wrong.
Exactly. Right? You need credentials. You need education. You need higher level education. You need a master's degree. You need a doctorate. You need a PhD in order to understand mutilating children is bad. Because if you don't have any of those, you don't understand. Right? You don't understand. This is our society. It is completely sick. And I've talked about this so much, so often. Right? Everyone has talked about it. And it's growing. This type of behavior is growing, and they don't want you to recognize it. They don't want you to see this type of behavior because they like this type of behavior, because they want this type of behavior to fester. They want it to grow, and they want everyone in the world to say that this type of behavior is acceptable when it's not acceptable. Everyone knows that it's not acceptable. Even those on the left, they know that it's not acceptable. They know it, but they don't want to say it out loud, but they still want to push it. They still want to push it. All right. So now I do have some stuff that I cannot share here on YouTube and Facebook. So, but I do have like this next stuff I want to share with you is wow. Okay. And you understand, and I'm going to take your phone calls. I just put it up now. The ticker down at the bottom has my phone number if you want to call me. But for those of you that want to give me calls, and the reason why I'm going to take phone calls over on Rumble is because apparently there's some leftists that listen on Rumble that want to call in, and this is going to make an opportunity for if they want to say whatever it is they want to say, they can call in and talk to me. I'm just asking that, keep it PG-13, right? That's all that I ask. But other than that, you can talk about whatever it is that you want, right? Okay. But before I go, let me see. Let me say thank you to a couple people. Thank you, everybody. Hey, let me see. Look on YouTube real quick. YouTube. I got 70 likes on YouTube. Can y'all give me 30 more? If you haven't already, please hit the like button on YouTube. Please hit the like button. It helps me get past the algorithms. And on Facebook, let me go over to Facebook. We got 123 shares. Please hit that share button. Lori, thank you so much for those wonderful stars. I really do appreciate it. Lori just popped up on the screen. Thank you so much. Chuck, Lori, Matt, Matthew, Tracy, Beverly, Oliver, Dana, Mary, thank you so much for everyone else just shared. Thank you so much for sharing it. Mary, thank you so much for the stars. Carol, thank you so much for sharing. Betty, thank you so much. Ann, thank you so much for the stars. Rebecca, Edward, Chuck, Zach, Sandra, Florence, Leanne, thank you so much for sharing. Kathy, Thomas, Mickey, thank you so much. I'm just scrolling through here real quick. Rebecca, thank you so much for sharing. Tracy, Jerry, Gina, thank you so much. Let me see. Let's skip it. Mandy, thank you so much. Chuck, thank you so much for the stars. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thank you, Chuck, for sharing the video. All right, come on, everybody. It's free for you to go over to Rumble. Come on over to Rumble. I have some stuff I want to share with you. I would share it here, but the last time I shared, there's one particular company that I shared a video. It wasn't even their video. They attacked me. And it's a major news network company that attacked me. So I'm not going to show any of their stuff here on Facebook and YouTube for obvious reasons, because that's where they attacked me last time. But I'm going to show it to you on Rumble. All right, so come over to Rumble. I got the phone number right down in the screen. If you want to give me a call, you can holler at me there. All right, I'll see you over there. I'm gonna go set it up now. End it on Facebook and YouTube. And thank you, everybody, for joining me on Facebook and YouTube. It really does mean a lot. All right, but come on over to Rumble. Come on over. Please, come on over. All right, come on over. All right, let me see. We should be, yep, I see people starting to call in. All right, come on over. Come on. All right, for everybody on YouTube, I'll see you over there. And Facebook.